Also, I just want to kind of just make sure that we. Okay.
Leave a meeting.
Zoom meeting.
No, it says leave meeting.
Leave meeting. Okay, let me know once you guys are ready and have responded to that.
I'm done.
Perfect. Okay, so thanks again for everybody, meeting with me, taking time out of, I know your very busy schedule. I wanted to make sure that I brought the group together because this is to pretty much put this, everything that's been going on, inform everyone. I've been meeting with each of you individually to just kind of gather information per the, as I mentioned to you, the investigations that I was conducting, which involves the incident that happened on the incidents that happened on the 21st of April. So with that said, as I mentioned, I am recording the meeting with your consent so that you guys can review this at your own leisure. This is pretty much a meeting for us to make sure that everybody's on the same page as to what it's going to be moving forward. The expectation, like I said, I've already, spoken to all of you with regards to what it means from here on out, what the conduct required is from all parties involved, right? So in this case, again, like I said, the purpose of this meeting is so that we all understand and answer any questions, concerns that we may have with regards to what is discussed today. We did ask for recommendations, and all of you came back with recommendations as to what it would be or what we feel this should look like in order for us to be able to move forward with making sure that we maintain a professional work environment. Any questions that you guys may have, now come to my office, please let me know at any given time, should you have any concerns with regards to any incidents that happen. So in this case, I have concluded the investigation. Like I said, met with all of you, let you know that all parties pretty much had a role in the incidents that happened, and then moving forward, the expectation. Maintaining a professional work environment is the utmost important expectation moving forward, right? So making sure that everybody understands moving forward to what is expected of them. In this case, I spoke to every single one, and there is a mutual feeling here right now. I think the communication is not where it's supposed to be. Communication right now, I think everybody feels that it's better to be had in a somewhat of a shared space versus a private office, right? It's just because, this is just fresh. And again, we want to make sure that everybody here is comfortable. So we are okay. Shared space, meeting in a shared space, that is the best recommendation, that I have for you guys. So there's nothing that says we oppose to this. It's whatever makes you guys feel comfortable. And in this case, like I said, it's a mutual feeling, right? So whatever space you guys feel is most, appropriate when you guys are meeting about the research or whatever it is that needs to be addressed or communicated, right? Emails are acceptable. And again, also, I just want to kind of just make sure that we understand here pretty much the roles, right? So Sebastian, you are pretty much the right-hand person. You're the one that's there, to my understanding, every day, right? You're the one that's actually there that researchers go to. Whenever they have any questions, you're pretty much providing Vulture with updates, right? So in this case,
I have been in the office the entire time, and I will continue to do so. Today is probably the one that got exemption where I didn't go to the office. But yeah, the door is open. I'm there to help. So I feel like I have done that, and I will continue to do that.
Okay. So in this case, it's when Vulture's not there, feel free, Nancy, to walk into Sebastian's office. He's pretty much readily available. For you to, have, like I said, if you have any questions. And pretty much the expectation when it comes to, the research, the publications, the expectation is for everything to be executed accordingly, whether it's, publications, any of the research that's going on. The PI, faculty members, you guys all need to be on the same page, know what's going on. There should never be a time where it's like, well, we don't know where we're at, right? So in this case, not only for continuity, right, because this is something that we definitely want to make sure that we continue with the research. Nancy, with your research, you're pretty much first author, regardless of, whether, correct me if I'm wrong, whether if the publication is finished or, while you're here, right? Vulture, she retains first authorship.
No. I mean, there is no plan to change your first authorship. There was never any plan, but we're gonna follow the rules of the journal. The first authorship has to be earned. It's not, nobody has first or last or co-last or co-first rights. It has to be earned. And so right now, as we see it, there's no plan to take that away from anyone. There is a plan to finish this very soon because it's gone on for way too long. So, and there is a plan to do it according to standard. Tables, figures, manuscript has to be up to standard. And that's where, Sebastian is going to come in, UCLA people come in. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to evaluate this independently of me to make sure it's up to standard. Like we're talking about professor level people. They're going to look at it and say, yes, it is up to standard, or no, it's not. And this is just we're trying to get it ready for submission, and it has to be up to standard.
So, and to my understanding, this has been the practice in the past as well, when we had other researchers that, when
past 25 years.
Okay, when they left,
others or preclinical work.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that is there any questions related to the items that I just covered with regards to meeting environments, expectations, the publications, protected, that are protected is pretty much, based on your role, right? So any questions, concerns that we have at this point?
I do. More than a concern, is just, I would like to think about that. About what just Walter just said.
Think about what, Nancy?
I don't know. There are there are several ways. It's important to maintain integrity in research, especially. So there are a lot of things that can be done that are not right. So it's important to do things right. That's what I already told Walter. And people can have disagreements, but that doesn't mean that authorship should be affected by that. Actually, that will be a very bad, thing to do.
Authorship is affected by the quality of the work and the assignment. So you have to get the paper up to standard, ready for publication, like anybody else has ever done. Okay. If there is issue, and this is why Sebastian and others come in, UCLA, we have professor level people checking on the data, every word they say, is it true or not, based on the statistics, right? So we've had at least 3 people that have nothing to do with Alnutra, nothing to do with any interest, and they're there. I picked them, by the way, right? And I let you pick them, in fact. So to make sure that I cannot override the truth, right? And I cannot distort it. And that's why Sebastian, he doesn't have any conflict of interest. Dan doesn't have any conflict of interest at UCLA. And there's a third person, and there's a fourth person at USC in the statistics department. None of them care about Alnutra or anything that I'm involved in, right? But, so that's very important that they come in and they look at what you say, what I say, and they make an independent observation. Because now we also don't want this to go the other way, to have somehow trying to change the paper in a way that is now misrepresenting the fasting mimicking diet. So it has to be balanced, has to be kept correct, and for this we have faculty level people. Then in the end, all of us, and I'd be happy to bring in Hassi if needed, say, okay, who did what? What do we hear from the UCLA people? We are completely independent. if we hear from you, say, people, this is terrible, these tables are terrible, the figures are terrible. They're not involved. They don't care about me. They don't care about anybody. They're just, going to be shown the things. And same thing for Sebastian and other people. If they look at it and say, this cannot be sent for publication out, then I have to look at it, and I'd be happy to have Hasti or somebody else mediate, to get rid of the person. Say, look, this is what we're hearing from everybody. It's not ready to go. I need to put somebody else that to make sure that it's up to standard. Especially now we're thinking about some big journals, right? So we cannot afford either the present or the future publication to be not.
So in this case, the purpose of, and again, just to go back to the purpose of the meeting, is to make sure that everybody understands we're trying to move the research forward, right? So we want to make sure that we continue to move it forward, get it ready for publication as much as you can. As far as, if you're working on it, if you're, it's your work is protected. Your work is, always going to be your work, right? So in this case, it's more of what happens. Are we ready to publish when you're here? And that's why it's very important that we understand. It's like, okay, where are we at? That's why they're checking in to see, okay, where are we at with the papers? Where are we at with these, whatever it is, right? So the PI, can always come in and check in to see where are we at with this. In addition to partnering other people to help with the research, right? So that's always up to, the PI. And in this case, to my understanding, there is going to be some partnership as far as just to make sure that, you guys are on the same page and on time to be able to alter how many papers are we working on at this point?
But there's three things that we we're going to make sure that are completed, and one is the clinical trial, which we're still waiting on. And the second one is the microbiota analysis, which I think now there should be another person to put on it, and the third one is the mouse work that Nancy is working on, and we need to make sure that now there's also another person that works on it, so that we have continuity once Nancy leaves the lab.
Okay, and do we have people identified already as part of who is going to continue
Yes.
the research? Okay, so
sorry, I'm not understanding, because these things have never been told to me. First of all, I have 2 preclinical papers that I'm writing, not one. Also, we've never talked about the fact of putting another person. Third, who said that I'm leaving?
I say that we're leaving. The department said you're leaving. We have a contract that is terminated next February, and Wendy can update you on it.
So it's pretty much when they're saying is, your term, right? Your term, you were reappointed for a year. So in this case, within the year, they want to make sure that everything is working accordingly to the time that they extended your appointment to ensure that these projects were finalized, right?
Yeah, definitely. Regarding, I have some concerns regarding, because it's like, honestly, I'm really not comfortable with what we're saying here in this meeting, because it's like we're completely ignoring the facts. I understand that, as I reported to you, Wendy, there has been some misconduct going on, and regarding this paper, regarding the clinical trial paper.
So let me stop that right there. Let me stop that right there, Nancy, because that's not what we're discussing.
I know. I'm just saying another thing.
So we're discussing the incident that happened, and let me retract it back, because I don't want this to get out of context as far as what we're meeting about. Because I am not privy to that investigation that's going on, so I cannot speak on that. So therefore, it's not fair to bring it in, because that's not anything that I looked into.
I agree. So that's
okay,
why
so in
I'm
this
not
case,
comfortable with talking about this. We are talking about research with you, because you are not supposed to work on research, because you cannot. You don't have
No. And what we're discussing here is in the manner that we're going to continue working together, which is not related to your research paper. It's related to what the PI wants to see as far as collaboration goes, okay? So this is what we need to make sure that it is clear moving forward, so that there's, again, continuity when, whether you're ready to publish, it's a matter of the PI, the researcher working together so that you guys are all on the same page when it comes to where are we at, what's the research, where does it stand, so that you guys are all on the same page. It's about the communication, right?
I agree
So
with you.
in this case, this is what is being discussed at this moment, not necessarily the status or the misconduct or whatever was going on with the
Yeah,
research.
exactly.
Okay?
So this meeting is about the incident on the 21st, correct?
Well, the meeting is about what is expected moving forward.
Yeah.
We've already
yeah, but
concluded that.
absolutely.
Okay.
What is
So
expected
moving forward,
as a solution to that?
the
Correct.
solution to how we're going to all work together. Okay? So in this case, it's partnerships, whether it's, to my understanding, they've hired student workers to help you with your research. They've done and provided support to you, right? So in this case, it's how are we going to move forward, whether it's assigning another researcher to come in and help you. So in this case, it's the decision of the PI to make sure that he's staffing his lab and, research projects accordingly, okay?
Absolutely.
So as far as that goes, now anything that comes out of the other investigations, that's something that will be discussed separately. So
Yeah. No, I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't I wanted to ask you a question. That's why I was saying that.
Okay.
So my question is, because this meeting is the result of your investigation on the incident on the 21st, that only regards professionalism and not research, because you can't work on research, correct? So now you're saying things associated to how how my performance will be judged in a research context. Who has the right to be the other? How the people?
no. So I'm addressing one of your concerns about you being removed from first authorship. That's the thing that I'm addressing there.
But that's research.
No.
I
We
don't
have
understand.
a total agreement that that's not what's being discussed here, right? As far as what, the incident on the 21st, we want to make sure that it's clear about what these discussions are, right? And if you have any questions, and at this point, you can, ask Vulture, you can ask myself, but it's more of moving forward so that you have a full understanding, as that the expectation is for you to finish
Actually,
as much research as possible.
I don't even know what incident we're talking about. What are we talking about? What is
So,
what happened?
The incident, Vulture, on the 21st that we spoke about that happened, you and Nancy were talking, and then after that, about her research paper. And then she went to Sebastian's office, and Sebastian had to ask her to leave because she had become,
What does that have
emotional.
to do with anything? I don't understand it.
No, so I'm talking about the incident that happened. So that's the incident, the conduct that happened.
That's between Sebastian and her. Now what?
No. So I spoke to all of you guys with regards to this. Now we're talking about moving forward.
Yeah.
What the expectation is to make sure that everybody here understands that the conduct that is required by the university is pretty much to follow the code of conduct on all parts, right? All parties.
Because we said that on the 21st, what happened was that Walter has been unprofessional, and I had to answer back to him.
Let's stop this right
Okay, let's do this. No, we're not doing
This
this.
is what I've been told.
We're not. No.
I don't
We're
know.
not doing this.
Wendy told me.
I have no idea what Nancy's talking about.
We're not doing this right now, as I mentioned to you guys.
But please ask her to stop, because this is what is happening, right? It's
Well, we're not. Okay, look.
Claims that I don't even know what she's talking.
So Vulture, again, the allegations were sent to the different
It
offices.
is very typical
I'm
of
discussing-
the type of abuse that I've been subjected to for a year now.
Okay, I need to reel in the meeting back, okay, because like I said, we're discussing that incident that happened on the 21st. We're not discussing all the other allegations because that's not within my office. I'm not looking, I didn't look into, I'm not discussing those allegations.
No,
because
but
that's not something-
Wendy, this is all connected with that, right? So
No, it's not connected. What I'm discussing is the conduct that happened. Like I said, what was reported to my office, what I looked into, what I spoke to Sebastian, what I spoke to, Vulture when we spoke. Nancy, when we spoke. Here, it's more of moving forward. We want to make sure that we have a collaborative environment, that we move forward with.
But this is not possible, Wendy. Obviously, listen what is she saying. Is that this is no longer possible. This is a postdoc that continues to accuse me of things that I have no idea what she's talking about. Right? So it's not, that environment that you're describing is no longer feasible. Okay. Now you see open accusation out in the open, out of place, out of context. I can no longer, and this is why I'm reporting to you and to any office of USC. I can no longer doing my job under this condition. I can no longer. This is why I need to ask the provost office, if needed, to have somebody come in and intervene independent of me. I'm fine with Sebastian or somebody else, because I can no longer ensure that the NIH, that the clinical trial, that the clinical analysis is done correctly. I mean,
and this is the reason why we're having this meeting, to talk about. We talked about Sebastian being that person that's there to manage, to help with the coordinating of the communication of what's going on with the research. Okay, because like I said, as I mentioned, it's a mutual feeling across the board of nobody feeling comfortable with what is going on. Yes, Nancy.
Excuse me, Wendy, but can you please say to Walter that what I said is what you told to me? Because it's not that I'm inventing anything. We had meetings that I did not record, but we had meetings, and what you told me in our last meeting was that Walter and I have been unprofessional in Sebastian's office. Can you please tell me
not
that
in
you
Sebastian's
said
office.
this? Not that
Not
I
in
said
Sebastian's office.
I wasn't even in Sebastian's office. I wasn't
It wasn't
there.
part of Sebastian's
I'm
office.
sorry? No,
not
seriously.
in Sebastian's office. It's the meeting before what happened in Sebastian's office. So the meeting before, where you and Vulture were discussing.
It was in the Sebastian's office.
It was in Sebastian's
It was
office?
in Sebastian's office, and you told me that Walter is being unprofessional, and
I thought you said it was in Vulture's office.
No, it was in Sebastian's office, and I told you that Walter brought me to Sebastian's office, and I told you in the emails too. Walter brought me to Sebastian's office, and in front of Sebastian's computer, he started yelling at me. That's what I told you, and that's
Okay,
what you
so-
told. When you told me that Walter is being unprofessional, can you please tell Walter that this is what you said,
So
not
when I
my
spoke-
allegations?
I didn't
When I-
start yelling at you. I didn't
When
start-
I spoke to all of you, right, Nancy, and I also told you that this is not the first time. Other people have also, said that it's pretty much the same conduct, right? It's nothing out of the norm. It's not the first time that it's happened. So both you and him talking, this is pretty much the norm. So it wasn't anything outside
You never
of the
told me
board.
that. You never
Yes, I
told me
did.
that.
That's why
No,
I
you never
need-
told me that. I
Okay.
should have recorded these things, seriously.
So Nancy, here, okay, so in this, again, here, it's pretty much, this meeting is for us to talk about the conduct moving forward. That back and forth that's happening and what I'm witnessing in this meeting right now cannot continue to happen, right? So in this case, everybody needs to maintain professionalism, like I said, from the tone to the way that we speak to each other. Otherwise, it's not going to end well, right? And if we can't do that right now, if we can't agree as a unit to do it right now, then I need to take this to a different office so that it can get escalated. And it's not, here we're trying to save, right, the research, we're trying to save everything that's going on and continue it.
It's
And
not
we
pos-
can sit here.
It's not possible. I don't want, again, it's no longer possible for me to do my job when a postdoc in my lab is making accusation without any basis. Okay? At that point, it's got nothing to do with personality, with point of view. It's got to do, I have a job to carry out. Okay? And I can no longer, and I've been doing this for a long time with a lot of people. And this is the first time it ever happened to me. Okay, I can no longer, and Sebastian has been there throughout the whole thing. You can talk to Sebastian, you can talk to anybody in the lab. I can no longer, with this type of answers, with this type of conduct, I can no longer do my job.
So this is the reason.
Particular cases, right? So the only thing I can think of is for the dean to let Sebastian now take over those components, because Sebastian is a faculty. Sebastian does not have any conflict of interest. So I'm saying I want to pull out of this because I can no longer do my job in this situation.
Okay, so in this case, as I mentioned earlier, Sebastian's going to be the one there managing the researchers, right? So in this case, this is what I'm trying to communicate here, and it's just going around in circles, right? So Sebastian, Walter, Nancy, we all need to again maintain that professionalism, right? So in this case, Sebastian, Nancy, Walter, we said meetings, if it needs to happen, it's going to be in an open forum, right? Not in a private office, right? We were okay with that, correct? When those happen.
I'm no longer okay with this type of insubordination. I'm no longer okay having any meetings, okay? And I'm no longer okay, especially because the meetings then are used to accuse me of screaming, yelling, etc., etc. So I rather say, look, I can do my job. I can talk to Sebastian. Never have any problem with Sebastian. And Sebastian, as a faculty member, can make sure that the job is done correctly. I also need, for the job to be done correctly, other people to be involved for continuity, because there is no way to finish these things by next February or 2022. That's it. That's my request. I brought it to you. I can bring it to us and the provost office if it's necessary. That's what I believe is necessary now to make sure the NIH grants and the collaboration we have with Dr. Houston and others are ended up in appropriately in publications, and so this work is done correctly.
Okay. In this case, like I said.
And also, I'm very happy if there is, since there's accusations of conflict of interest, to have Sebastian evaluate, and the dean, if necessary, evaluate if they want, in addition to Dan and two other people at UCLA, USC, who are completely independent, and Mark Houston, by the way, also completely independent. Mark Houston has read the paper, has read my comments, has read everything, and didn't complain. But if Hassi feels that, hey, let's bring in somebody else, because I'm still not satisfied that there is not a conflict, that Longo is somehow, changing anything. Okay, fine. As long as Sebastian wants to mediate it, and Hassi or anybody else who wants to come in, I'm very happy to let it happen.
So
again, this was an arrangement with the Office of Compliance from the very beginning. I propose that UCLA steps in to make sure that I'm not allowed to, alter somehow, even unintentionally, alter the data. So, that's where UCLA is there for. I'm happy for things to be sent back to UCLA. I'm happy for Hassi to step in. I'm happy for Hassi to appoint Sebastian as the key person in all the things that have to do with Nancy.
And I hear you, Vulture, but unfortunately, I'm not the one that can make that decision, because this is all involving research. So like I said, I cannot.
But you tell me why, because you're personnel, right? So I have to be able to go to.
Yeah. So this recording is actually the recording is actually going to go to the offices that requested of me, because I'm not the one that is investigating those allegations, right? Like I said, I can't.
I know, but I mean, now I have my own allegations. That's what I'm saying.
And we
so now I brought it to you. You can bring it to us if I need to. I need to go to the office to research myself now.
So we'll discuss those.
I'm just saying I don't want to bypass the hierarchy. So I'm saying I would like to go to the office of research and make my own complaint here, because they're getting a one-sided view here.
So, and again, I will definitely relay your information. And again, when I'm contacted, or if I'm contacted, like with the investigations that are going on right now, it's all a matter. I can't say, yes, Vulture, we're going to change this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose it and say, here are, allegations, and move them forward to the respected offices. So in this case,
but I mean, there's a process, right?
How
do I make a formal complaint to the Office of Research? Because again, I'm no longer able to get things carried out in an appropriate manner. So who do I go to? I have a right to do the same. Now, obviously, people have been doing it from the other side without my knowledge, and now I need to do the same.
And with this will definitely be forwarded to those offices, like I said, and they'll take it on. So whatever investigators are currently responding to these claims, right, they'll be able to put both together. And like I said, if you haven't been contacted, or I'm not sure where they're at in their investigation, and I can't speak on it, like I said. But in this case, we're just trying to move forward. And Nancy, I do see that you do have something to say, but let me just Vulture, we'll definitely address this because this is not the meeting nor the time to discuss it, right? It's more of discussing how we are going to move forward. But here, obviously, there are, again, and I know that you have concerns as well. So those will definitely be addressed. But right now, it's how do we move forward from here? And if we cannot do it, then there has to be a course of action, right? So here, I want to make sure that we all agree that, yes, a professional work environment is required at all times, right? In addition to that, it's what are the expectations with regards to an employee reporting or a manager requesting updates from an employee. Those are the things that we want to answer here, because there is no, the manager, the PI, whoever it is, has the authority and the obligation to check in with their employees to see where are you at, are you on track, are you, and this is what we want to make sure that we address. Nancy,
it's been essentially impossible to do for the past year. Absence from and we already addressed this 6 months ago. Absence from the lab, just impossible to get information, impossible to be able to follow the information, impossible to say, I don't think this was done correctly. Can you please do it correctly? Just every.
I'm sorry, I've never heard of these allegations, Walter.
So
I've never heard of these things that Walter is saying. What are we doing? What game are we playing here? Can I
written
please?
down in the official report by Wendy 6 months ago, so go read it. You were supposed to report to me and Sebastian once a week with what you done, and never happened. So go, and Wendy, please, if you want to read it back to us, the things that we had decided 6 months ago, which never happened.
So I agree. I asked Walter 6 months ago, and I can demonstrate it. When should I start? Walter never replied.
Start immediately after
sorry,
Wendy
Walter,
and
but
the department. The Wendy
Walter.
department give you instructions on what to do. You never follow them.
I did for a while. Then I asked you when should I start? Should I start now? I have an email to show that. But anyways, this was not the purpose of this meeting. I'm not understanding what we're doing. I'm sorry.
So again,
because we're talking about professionalism, and professionalism is also being on schedule and doing things based on an agenda. And the agenda today was to decide how to move forward based on the fact that I and you have been told to be unprofessional based on Wendy's investigation during the 21st. Based on that, when they wanted to move forward.
Been a professional.
So I'm sorry, this is what I've been told.
I never been a professional, and I've never been told by anyone that I was unprofessional. Now,
sorry, but this is what Wendy told me.
If somebody can bring me evidence of that, I think Sebastian was there. Sebastian wants to say that I was unprofessional. I'm listening, but as far as I know, I've kept.
Okay, so this is where we're going to, again, as I explained to everybody, right? Somebody's actions to them may not be unprofessional because, okay, I'm speaking. This is how I speak and everything. Somebody else may take it in an unprofessional manner, whether they're passing by, whether they're, and as I explained, the conduct, it needs to not saying, okay, maybe. Again, Nancy, you had your own views as to what happened in Sebastian's office, right? And I explained to you, because of the simple fact that you became emotional does not justify that this is the way that you react, right? Same thing, like I said, Vulture, certain things whenever, are said or in a meeting setting, sometimes it may be direct and some people may take it as like, oh, what's going on, right? So in this case, like I mentioned to all of you, there is a code of conduct at USC that needs to be followed. And if this code of conduct is not going to be followed, then unfortunately, we're not going to have a good outcome here. What the purpose of this meeting is to be able to move forward and everybody understand the code of conduct and agree that this is something that they are committing to moving forward on everybody's part, right? And once you commit to that, obviously, right, everybody here should commit to the code of conduct because this is our policy. Once anybody goes, array, then at that point, that's when, it does come to my office and then we start looking into it. Now, in this case, we wanted to sit down, go over it and make sure, look, there are expectations on all ends, all parties, right? From reporting it whenever you see it to making sure that you don't allow your emotions to get in the way and in the manner that is that you speak to your employee or you speak to your supervisor at that, it's just more of you need to make sure, and we need to make sure that we all maintain professionalism. And this is pretty much the point of the meeting, to make sure that we all understand it, right? As we had discussed previously. Yes, Nancy?
I'm not just sorry, I'm a postdoc, okay, right? So USC has policies for what is expected from a postdoc, what a postdoc is supposed to do, but also what a mentor is supposed to do. So I don't know if you've ever read, you guys have ever read that, but there is a page on USC website dedicated to what a mentor is supposed to do and not to do with a postdoc. And a postdoc is actually considered basically a person that the mentor has to help to in his or her own career advancement in research, that has the freedom and the obligation to publish. Freedom also means that I can publish what I've been working on during my time in Walter's lab, independently of Walter. And the mentor has the
Don't come up with things that.
No, it's true. I'm
You
telling
cannot
you what.
publish independent things with the funds and my projects. You can potentially publish independent things if you had your own funds, if you had your own project. But this, you're working as part of NIH and other, clinical trials for which I had arrangement as a PI with other institutes, right? So you
yes, but this is what USC says.
I mean, there is nothing there that you can publish independently.
I'm quoting USC. Anyways, this is not an attack. I don't want to publish, by myself. I'm just saying that there are the mentor and postdoc relationship is a whole thing. That is not just a regular employee, because a postdoc is underpaid for a reason, and it's underpaid because is also a person that is investing in their career. So it can't just be that you work for 3 years on projects and then suddenly the mentor decides that, oh, you made a mistake in this table, I'm gonna put someone else. It's not how it works, because there is a reason why postdocs are paid less than researchers.
So Nancy, and this is something that, yes, there is a policy.
You are correct. Yeah, but unfortunately there is a policy, and the point is that if we have to address my role and my relationship with Walter, and if it was just about professionalism today, then of course we don't need to think whether I'm a postdoc or not, because I'm still an employee, and all employees have the same policies in terms of professionalism. But because we're talking about how to handle research and papers and manuscripts and publications and who has to revise stuff, I'm a postdoc, which means I'm a person that is a scientist, a full-grown scientist, not a PhD student, a person that is already a scientist and yet is still in his path to become either a faculty or a researcher in industry. But the mentor has not the role of the boss. Walter is not my boss. Walter is my mentor. And you guys also renewed my postdoctoral contract for the 6th year. So I'm still a postdoc, which means that Walter has obligations as a mentor for me. He's not my boss, he's my mentor. So moving forward, he has the obligation to help me and support me in my career path and in the publication. And if I make mistakes, if things are not perfect, if the product that I give him is not perfect, he has to teach me and to make sure that I maintain my first authorship. He's not allowed to pick people. I'm sorry, Walter, please let me finish. Walter, don't talk over me as usual. Please stop. Please. You are not allowed to just pick people and make sure that they tell you that I'm not good enough as a scientist. What you're supposed to do as a mentor is to support me. Yes, this is what you should have done for the beginning.
Nancy, let me interject here.
I moved to terminate this meeting. It's just, it's not going anywhere.
Let me just make sure that,
this is what I've been subjected to. I cannot do my job like this, right?
Okay.
I've been doing it with many people, never had any problems.
So this is the thing, Nancy, just, as you mentioned, Walter is your mentor, but you also have to understand that he does and manages the way that he manages. You cannot sit there and tell him how to do his job, right?
Totally, but mentoring is different
in this case, okay, if there is an issue with that, that is totally separate from today, right? That is totally separate from today as far as my, like I said, my, the focus of this meeting is to make sure that we obviously move forward. In this case, other the allegations that are going to prevent us from doing so are coming up. So it is better that we do end the meeting, and I am going to submit this information over to the other respected offices that will be looking into this. Because again, here, and I will also report it to, again, the dean, and just to let them know that here we cannot move forward unless there are some changes done, which, as Vulture had requested, for another person to come in and manage and supervise and mentor you, because of the conflict there, right? The issue that we've already been, experiencing. In addition to that, we need to make sure that when that happens, and if that happens, depending on what these other offices say, is we need to make sure that, again, what I'm trying to say here is everybody is to maintain professionalism. Everybody is expected to continue in a certain manner and their work. Excuse me. And in addition to that, again, there is no, question about, can a supervisor, can a mentor, can a faculty member ask, where are you at? It's not just, you can conduct your own research independently. No, you work under a PI,
that's not what
right?
they said, though.
So we want to make sure.
I said that I'm a mentee
maybe-
and he's a mentor, which is different than being a boss. Sorry.
Let me say something, because I feel like the reality is that between Walter and Nancy, I don't think we're solving this right now. The thing what I want to go back with is aligning with what Wendy said, and I think also what Walter wants, and I hope that's okay for Nancy, is like, you guys are not going to come together and discuss things. What I would want to offer is, Nancy, my office door is open. We can sit down and discuss. We can talk about the research. I'm happy to look at it, and I will read it carefully. And if I feel that there is a disconnect between the data and the interpretation, I'm happy to negotiate that and communicate that with Walter, so that way your concerns are moving towards Walter, and vice versa. Walter can talk through me to you. That way, the research maintains sort of buffered, and I will sort of neutralize any sort of agitation that might arise. That is my offer, and I think that is the way to solve the issue with the manuscript. The research moving forward, again, I think Wendy and Walter have the same idea here. All we're doing is ensuring continuity, right? We're gonna, like we did with anybody else, Ahmed left, when Novella left, we put Arendo on there, people together. So that's the same.
Ria with Fleur, everybody.
Yeah, that's the only thing we want to do. That is not putting, that's not saying that we're taking projects away from you. It's even more so, we want you, with your expertise, to mentor people that are new in the lab, so they can, by the time when you leave, continue these experiments, because we foresee that there will be, or that they continue to be part of the research projects that we're following up more than just a year from now. So I think that is really very,
that's totally normal.
if you're okay with that and Walter is okay with that, I think that is really the only thing we're getting out of this meeting.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add.
I'm the one that proposed it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that is correct. Like I said, when I met with,
Let's not forget that Sebastian is a faculty member. We're not, now assigning some student doing this. He's a faculty member that could, can have the position of mentorship. And of course, I'll be present, in all the steps of the way to make sure that, I'm still in charge of the PI ship, of the program project, et cetera, and of the papers. So I'll make sure that they're done correctly. But I think it's best to have Sebastian be the contact person there.
so just like, like I said, I sat down with all parties and I said, okay, what would be the best form of approach for all of you so that we can continue? This is the recommendation that was made by Walter. Sebastian, he said, I'm more than happy to step in. I want to make sure that everything continues to move forward. He's there to support you. They're wanting to bring in more of a support for you to be able to mentor not just students, other researchers. In addition to that, help you with your completion of your of your paper. So this is what we're trying to get at, right? At the end of the day, this is what we need to move forward with. However, I also, like I said, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page to make sure that moving forward, this is what's going to help the department. As I mentioned, that's why the open, whether it's meetings in an open setting, right?
I'm okay with that.
Communicating with Sebastian, right? Partnering other, people for you to mentor, for to again help or help you with your career as a researcher, and all this stuff, right? Along with moving the research forward.
Sorry, Wendy. Let me just point one thing. Hamed left how long ago, Sebastian?
Well, 5 years ago, probably.
5 years ago. He's now first author on a paper that we're about to publish in Natural Metabolism, right? And in fact, when he first contacted, he thought, oh, we're going to put him as a middle author. No, we put him as first author because he did most of the work. So, this has been traditional in my lab to make sure that, independently of whether I like somebody or not, or whatever it might be personal, the person gets exactly what they deserve based on the work done.
Based on how much work they've done, I agree.
Work and quality of work, and it's not just
Absolutely.
a quantity of work. It has also quality. If when we look at the paper, we realize Hamed had done some of the key experiments more than Novella, and so I said, hey, I think Hamed.
You mean Novella's paper? So now Novella, that was the first author, became
First,
the second.
Novella's going to be second, and Hamed is going to be first. But
So now Amrendra and Ahmed are going to be first authors in that paper.
Novella is also first author, but she's go first, and Ahmed, because now 80% of the paper is from Ahmed, to go first.
So again, going back to my initial, when we started this meeting, it's, the research that you are conducting, nobody can take away your work, right? So
Nobody
we want to
wants
make
take
sure.
away anybody's work. I mean, the last thing we want to do is take away people's work.
And this is what, again, Vulture had, communicated to me, as far as, because I know that there was a feeling of, that's what's, what it looks like, where it's happening here, and it's not. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that they want you, Vulture, Sebastian, they want you to succeed, because your success is their success, right? Your, whatever you need to be able to complete the projects that you're working on, they're here to assist. However, we're trying to coordinate to be able for all of us to feel comfortable. Unfortunately, I would like to call this a little bump on the road, a little hiccup, right? And moving forward, we, produce this, and finalize these projects, and everything ends great for everyone, right? So I just want to make sure that moving forward, we all know, okay, the expectation is all of us need to be professional, right, at all times. That's never been any different. We kind of lost it there, maybe because of the way that things were happening before, or the norm in the labs, right? But let's just kind of reel ourselves back in and say, okay, the focus of this is research, right? Let's come in, do the best, whatever it is, whatever support you need, they're there to support you. We're just trying to coordinate and help the process along the way, my office, to make sure that there is no, that there's communication, and it's a collaboration, right? So again, Vulture, yes.
Sorry, regarding the, to make sure that the manuscripts are correct, etc. Walter was mentioning potentially involving other people to make sure that we have independent people. I would suggest to have people external to dermatology, and maybe also people of my choosing. Like if Walter wants to pick a person, I'm gonna have to pick another person. I'm the first author and I'm allowed to do that.
Friends and family involved.
I'm sorry, people with expertise in the field.
We already have, with the Office of Compliance, several people at UCLA who have exactly that job, right? There are two different people, one of which, or maybe both of which, you selected already. That's it, Now, Sebastian is another independent person, and that's 3 now. And then we have the biostatistician in the USC biostatistics office. Any of them can say, if you have any complaints of any word of the manuscript, you can say, you think it's fair to say this based on that table. And Sebastian, Don, the other guy UCLA, and the guy in the back. There's 4 people, all independent of gerontology. I mean, 3 independent of gerontology. So we cannot pick now the people you want, you know. If you have further, if there is the Office of Compliance has a further complaint, then HASI can become involved and pick somebody else.
Well, again, let's pull back to, we're not discussing any research right here. Again, Office of Compliance is the place to bounce back ideas if this is even possible. Again, I cannot speak on that. I cannot have that type of conversation in this meeting, but you guys are more than welcome to, you know, reach out to the Office of Compliance or, you know, Walter Hasi to see what can be accommodated. In this case, it's more of the continued workmanship and collaboration, right? So
can I have a summary of like what is expected? Because it's like we spoke about so many things. It's like can I have a summary of what is
I will
actually
definitely
expected?
send a memo to everybody to say per our meeting that we had today, right? I know that it went to like different things and you know, again, it's
And
more of addressing.
don't forget the old one, right? Because we already had this, right, 6 months ago, and a lot of that never happened. So we make sure that happens and the new happens, right?
So again, this is pretty much based on the incident, right? The incident on
No,
the
but I'm
21st.
saying out of your office. I'm not talking about compliance. Out of your office, 6 months ago, we had a discussion, and there was decision made by your office. And I'm saying that still needs to be implemented, right?
So this is what we discussed
I'm
here, and we
saying-
can do
I'm saying
it.
that a lot of that never happened.
Sorry, but I haven't done anything wrong to like, and I'm going to the lab every day, so I'm not understanding what Walter wants. And
So this
feels
is
a
the
lot
thing,
like
so we're gonna
relegation
go back to
of
the
budget.
emails that was sent, because there was an email when we talked about, when we were agreeing, I believe it was to the visa,
Yeah,
of what the
exactly.
expectation was, right? The reports that needed to happen. I don't know what happened after that, because nothing. as
Because
far
the
as-
report, because Walter was afraid that I wasn't working because I was working from home because I was working in the clinical trial. Now I'm working from the lab. What am I supposed to report? That I'm working from
And
the lab?
saying that we had come to an agreement, right, for the visa extension. And I'm saying that was never, you know, a lot of that.
I asked you and you never told me.
Never happened.
So moving
Right?
forward, when do we want these reports to come in? On a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? What is the expectation?
We agreed, whatever we agreed to.
And we haven't agreed to anything. Like we
Of course
only
we agreed. It's in
we
writing.
agreed, yeah, we agreed to have monthly meetings together,
We
monthly
agreed
meetings to discuss about my career.
And Wendy, you should have that, you know, official, official agreement for us to approve a 1-year extension to the visa, right?
So Nancy, I believe you have that in the email as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so I'm
So,
gonna again rewrite it.
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
gonna say,
But the reason, I'm sorry, but like everything we do is a solution to a problem, right? At that time, there was a problem. The Walter didn't know what I was doing at home, although I don't understand why, because he was asking me to work from my laptop, and USC asked the employees to work from home if they were working from their laptop. And that's what I was doing. So I don't know why he then asked me to do that, but I agreed. I agreed to tell him if I was working from home, to tell him on what I was working. That's what I agreed on. I'm not working from home. What am I gonna report?
I'm saying that for all that time, we never got the reports that we were.
Because I asked, but you never told me when
And
to
I
start.
also think that the progress has been extremely slow, especially the NIH supported progress on mice, you know.
How do you know?
And I don't know if Sebastian, you've seen anything. I haven't seen anything.
You have had
So-
a meeting
so
on,
you know,
we had a meeting on April in your office, Walter.
You need to see weekly report as.
so,
we
okay, so in this case, Walter, you know, Sebastian, you would be getting in this, do we want weekly or monthly reports? We need to identify this now in order for us to be able to put it in
Sorry,
writing and
this
see
is
what
the
goes
identify
forward.
solution to what problem?
We
Why
will
are you doing
identify
this?
as part of the visa extension. I agreed to it only if this was going to happen, and Nancy agreed to do it based on, you know, our offer that we will extend the visa if we could count on certain performance, and that's still true. You know, nothing changed.
Again, I agreed to make reports, to have meetings, monthly meetings with you actually, that you never wanted to have. to have monthly meetings with you to discuss about my career advancement and my project advancement. I would love to do that, honestly.
We had weekly meetings, but until
no, monthly meetings talk about my stuff, because as you are also saying, you don't even know at what point I am, although I had a meeting with you in April.
We had constant meetings with you until you start making accusations.
Okay, so I think we're just going around in circles, and I think the best thing would be is for us to be able to, one, we'll look at the what was agreed back in I believe December when we were discussing justification for the visa, right?
If you provide, I will be happy to be provided with it, because every thing, every solution that you as an HR personnel or Walter or whomever provides is a solution to a problem. So if there is a problem, there can be a solution. If the solution is just out of the blue, that's not a solution, that's retaliation. So let's find the problem first and then find the solution. If we can't find the problem first,
pointed out before this, the renewal of the visa is that we could no longer, it was very difficult for me to follow what was done and what was not done. That's why we ask a report is independent of whether you're a USC or not. I did not feel like things were moving at the speed that we expected, whether it was the clinical trial, the microbiota analysis, or and more so than everything else. And in fact, that's what we focused on, the NIH-funded animal work, which we felt it was stopped or it was slowed down to almost a halt for a very long time. And so
I feel the same. I feel the same, Walter. Like, how many times a month have you asked me in the past 6 months how my NIH projects are going?
All the time.
All the time?
Always.
Via email?
In fact, we ask, if you look at the decision, the Wendy, we say you should focus on your mouse work, and you should focus on this was 6 months ago in the decision that we gave you to extend the visa. We said we need to make sure you focus on
I agree.
And we need a weekly report to make sure you're progressing with
You said monthly reports. But besides that, in these past 6 months, after you said that, you never asked me, not even once, how my preclinical projects are going.
Okay, so
and you asked me 7 times how my clinical projects are going.
We can't continue to do this. We can't continue to go around in circles. Okay? Right. Again, as I mentioned to you, our focus is to continue moving forward. Okay?
Yeah.
And if I cannot get that commitment from each of you guys here, I'm going to have to pretty much escalate the case. Okay? In this case, everybody agrees, yes, conduct is very important in the lab, right? 2, we need to make sure that we are providing the support, right, that we need in order for, Nancy, for you to be able to continue with your research paper, and Walter to make sure that you have continuity in the lab. So in this case, it was decided that Sebastian will pretty much be the one that you can, go to if you have any questions, concerns. He's there as a support. So we all agree to that, okay? Number 4 is pretty much going back to the agreement on why the visa was approved and the plan. Okay, I am going to make sure that we bring it up, and in the document that I'm going to send every one of you, as far as expectations from this, there is a response. I do see, going back and forth of commitment to month report of what you're doing, and let you know what's supposed to be completed at the end of the month. That's pretty much what was agreed to, that I see here.
I'm gonna send you the emails too, but you will see that the agreement was based on the fact that I wasn't working from the lab most of my time because I was on my laptop. So it was based on that. Now I'm working from the lab full time.
Okay, so it doesn't make a difference. The agreement is the agreement, right?
It was not an issue of the lab or not the lab. It was an issue of slow progress, and we were concerned about the slow progress, particularly of the NIH-funded mouse work.
So is this for the muscle paper?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have information on that.
Can you please read that part?
So it's pretty much based on the muscle paper and what the expectation is for the month-to-month report.
Well, I think an email that I am I
That's
received.
the NIH funded work. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is like,
so in this case, like I said, this meeting is what we need in order for us to move forward as far as expectation. Even though, Nancy, you're not working remotely anymore, if the PI or anybody checks in, right, the expectation is the report was, or the expectation or the request was to provide month-to-month reports as to the progress of this paper.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
But
in
if I'm
this
the only
case-
person who's done too, there must be a reason why. Like some sort of thing I've done wrong, like if
So
there
in this case,
isn't.
it was to justify your visa, and we were
disappear
clear
from
on
the lab,
the
it
justification
disappear
of the
from lab
visa
and having
and the progress,
project
because
slow.
in order for us to justify your visa and the extension, I needed to know why the length of extension for your postdoc, okay? And this is the reason why they needed to make sure that they continued on the progress of the paper, okay? So in this case, if it hasn't continued to happen, then we are not keeping up with what was
I have
decided.
that paperwork that like
Send
if
it
it's
to
something that you submitted to.
You sent it to me.
No.
It's an email that you sent me, yes.
No, I'm talking about the renewal of the visa. Did you include this information in the paperwork that you submitted to renew the visa? Is that what you're saying is that in order for you to be able to renew the visa, you had to provide.
In order
as
for
a
me
task.
to justify an H-1B, because for postdocs, we do not approve H-1Bs.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So in order for us to be able to even request it, okay, I
Yeah.
needed to know why. And we're not in the position of saying, okay, now you're going to be auditing my records. That's not what we're
No,
doing.
if anything,
No.
in
I'm
the
just
case-
saying why.
If anything,
Why is the why?
If anything, Nancy, we made a case to keep you. I mean,
Exactly.
I know.
made a case to extend the 1 year because when this first response was, we should
no.
we should not extend.
Wendy, can you tell me if you had to write in the visa renewal the fact that I had to put reports?
No, that's not part of the visa. That's
No,
part
right?
of the
It's just my
agreement.
projects, right? My
US
projects. are
agreement.
part
No,
of it.
it's,
Yeah.
it's the agreement between you, the PI, and the school on why we need to extend it, because the school was not.
And what is the why? Sorry, I'm not understanding. What is the
Postdocs.
reason why you use?
Postdocs are only permitted to be on our payroll under a J1. We do not sponsor H1
Yeah.
visas
Yeah,
for a
I'm-
postdoc.
Okay.
So that was the justification in order for
What
us
was
to
the
say, look,
justification? I'm trying to
one more
understand.
year, because the project, this is how long it's going to take, one more
Yeah.
year for
Oh.
an H1B, and that was that, right?
So the reason why was Nancy's gonna be working on these projects and it's gonna take a year, and that's why we're gonna extend it. That's the
We're-
justification you provided
It
for
was,
the-
no. It was a 1-year extension, because postdocs are only extended for a year, every
Yeah.
1 year at a time.
No, what I'm not understanding, what I'm asking you is, what is exactly the justification that you provided to extend the visa? Because what is the reason why that you
No,
use?
I didn't provide any justification. Vulture had
Ah.
to provide me a justification as to why we're extending you.
And
with
why
an
are we
H1B,
extending it? What is this the justification?
to continue your research that you have been working on for how many years was that?
3 years.
But
I mean, 3 years, every project started in different times.
particularly, I pointed out in all the emails the NIH sponsor muscle paper and muscle work, which we
I also have the cognitive one that is sponsored by NIH, like the one on cisplatin, which is actually on.
and that's it, Platin too. Whatever it is.
I included everything.
An extra year to continue this, and then now involves other people that can continue after you leave.
Yeah, totally.
So in this case, again, going back to, we're trying to put closure to this. If not, I'm going to have no other choice but to escalate it, okay? So I need for everybody here to commit. 1, the conduct, the USC Code of Conduct will be followed at all times. 2, the commitment as to the research continuation, right? And again, the request of all parties were taken into consideration, and we spoke about it, about how Sebastian is pretty much going to step in and be that person to help you and guide you and be that mentor and everything, right? In collaboration with Vulture, but in this case, Sebastian will be the communicator and, And then lastly, it's, provide you with the resources that you need, the research, assistance, and provide you with that mentorship experience, right, to become a mentor of other, researchers that are going to come in and pretty much continue should they need additional work afterwards, right? So we explain that has been the process for the last how many years, Walter? So it's going to
that's
continue.
totally normal. That's totally normal.
So
like
in this case, we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, right? Is there anything here that you guys or any of you feel that no, this is not something that I don't agree to?
I already expressed my disagreement on research things, but you said you don't deal with research. So all the stuff that we talk about on research basically doesn't count today because we didn't actually we couldn't talk about research.
Everything we talk about today is research, right? So everything you say, Wendy, is research, right? So
we shouldn't have talked about that. Sorry.
No. So no, this is about the conduct moving forward, working together, the collaboration, and maintaining that professional work environment. Number one. Number two is also the expectation moving forward with regards to the progress as to, Sebastian checking in, wanting to know, okay, where are we at? So if we can provide you with the adequate help, all that stuff, right? So going back to the agreement that we had based on the extension of the visa, this is what was agreed to. This is what needed to have been submitted. And effective the date that you guys received my memo of this is pretty much the closure of the case. If we move forward to it after our conversation today, then it's going to indicate on there based on the previous communication back in December when we were working on the visa extension, this is what needs to start happening if it hasn't already.
Yeah, totally. If that is based on again, it's based on what Walter said. If this is what Walter said, yes. But yeah, let's go back to the emails to make sure that we know what we agreed on in December.
And yeah, that's what I had. I had just mentioned.
I will in case forward it to you in case.
So yeah. So any questions? Any other concerns? With regards to us moving forward in this manner, or not?
No. Besides the fact that it's better to also meet in shared spaces. That we already said.
I'm leaving for Europe. I don't meet in any space. I'm gonna be in Milan, right? So until November. So.
Okay. And in fact, this is the norm, right? It happens every year. Sebastian usually is the one that runs. Okay. So I will be pretty much closing. I mean, if everybody is okay with the decisions moving forward about Sebastian stepping in, the communication aspect of it, the expectations moving forward, and pretty much what and again, everybody's going to have a copy of this, of the recording, so that we can continue to move forward, so that it's clear that the expectations are what, we're sending. And again, it's going to be in writing. So
how are you going to send it to us?
I'm sorry?
How are you going to send it to us?
So it's on the cloud right now. Once it's done, I'm going to send it out. So anything else that pretty much is a concern based off of what we discussed today, moving forward?
I may want to think about that, but no, I don't have any concern right now.
So again, if anything else comes up, you guys please reach out to me, because we don't want this to continue to, pretty much I'm considering this, as far as the conduct goes and everybody knowing what the expectation is, as closed. And anything else comes up, please feel free to contact me directly.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.